Hello, beautiful listeners and viewers, and welcome back for another episode of Heal Your Life Talk Show. My beautiful guest today is Christine Ruch, and she is from Colorado. She is a holistic transformation guide. And I'm really excited to talk to her. A lot of the work that she does really, as far as I understand it, really helps people to reunite with the healing potential that they already have within them, which goes hand in hand with what I am passionate about with the Heal Your Life work. And if you're here listening to this podcast, I know you're passionate about it as well. So welcome to the show, Christine.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to have the conversation.
It is my pleasure. My first question to you is, how did you get started in this work? What did that road look like?
Yeah, I think, I have a degree in holistic nutrition, and I had kind of like self-identified as a chef for a long time, and I had holistic food restaurants in Boulder. I had about three food businesses and a number of brands, where I did that for about a decade. And that's how I really connected people with like the power of food as it relates to healing. And at the same time, I was on my own healing journey with multiple sclerosis, which I've had since 2006. And pardon me. And yeah, and so I was always on my own health path at the same time as I was sort of like helping others on their own journey. And then, as luck would have it, as each of my chapters unfolded, then that changed and shifted how I showed up for people that I want to help. And so then my life took a huge, sudden, dramatic turn about 3 years ago, and I got thrust into this whole world of nervous system healing. And actually, it wasn't ever even born from a place of like my health. Like I thought that I was managing my health just fine. I thought I was winning, but I learned an awful lot through that process and how it was sort of a false sense of security as it relates to where I thought that my healing was. And it was mostly because I lived a life completely in service of keeping the nervous system misaligned and in complete like chaos.
What
And
is, can I just jump in?
yeah,
What
for
does it
sure.
look like? Like, help us paint a picture for people who are wondering if they're doing the same thing. What does it look like when your nervous system is misaligned and in complete chaos?
Yeah. Well, I can just share for me, but I think we all do this. And this is a lot of what I do is help people connect with how they create their own nervous system imbalances. And then they go to the doctor for all of their health ailments, and in fact, it's like they're doing the job of keeping themselves sick. So like for me, right? And so like for me, it's like I had a pretty big life, a pretty full life of three very successful businesses. And I thought I was winning. And on paper, I looked like I was. But I don't believe that when you have multiple sclerosis, having three food businesses, 75 employees, and seven managers working 70 hours, 80 hours a week is keeping your nervous system in harmony. I
Yeah.
just don't think that you could do it. And then it's also a restaurant business, a food business, which is inherently chaotic just by its very nature. And I would love to say I thrived in that. And I would also love to say that I love to create order out of inherent chaos. And that was just a sign of my disconnection from my own health. And I disconnected from my body to keep and pushed everything down and thought that I could control my health strictly through my diet. And now, of course, we both know it's a huge foundation to wellness, but it's not everything. And it's not enough for it to be the only portal through which we decide we want to connect with our inner ability to heal, that there's so many other elements to it. And I believe that your nervous system is one of them.
Yes, completely agree with that. And when we start to heal that nervous system is when, like you've said, it awakens our inner healing wisdom.
Yeah.
And did you find that it was one of those like aha, angels singing big moments?
Yes.
You
Yes.
did. Okay,
Yes.
let's hear about it.
Well, yeah, like I said, I actually entered the work because I had blown up my life because I was like on the verge of a nervous breakdown and I didn't even know it and I didn't even recognize it. And I knew that things were a little rocky, but I had no idea the depth at which I was just teetering on the brink of like utter complete nervous breakdown, you know? And so I did. I blew up my life. I blew up my businesses. I I completely dismantled my entire life in the course of a year. And then I moved to another country. I moved to Costa Rica and I just was like, I just need to go and figure out what I did. What did I do? How did I get here? What did I do to myself? And none of that time, it was all about why did I blow up my life? It wasn't about like, oh, my MS is so bad. You know, I felt like I had that on the lock. Um, but yeah, then I started working with these two healers pretty intensively. And then that's now the work that I'm doing because that's how I learned to do this work. And that's the container that they hold is to teach other healers the importance and the value of working through your nervous system to ignite your deepest healing. And so they just started holding a space for me, this opportunity. And then what was really interesting is then I realized like how much trauma I kept in my body that I had no connection to. I recognized that I had no emotional capacity. Like
Hmm.
I didn't even know what that meant. Like those were foreign words. Um, I didn't even have like an emotional landscape that I could relate to. And so it started with just those little things. And at first I was like, I don't understand why this has anything to do with what got me here. And I didn't understand how the beginning of this work had anything to do with all of the other chaos that I had, brought upon myself. And then yeah, and then all of a sudden it's just like it all clicked. And then suddenly my health transformed. Um, the food, I mean, so many things changed. It was just so awe-inspiring and completely unexpected too, which is one of the reasons why I think like the way the healers held that space was like it's just your own journey. They don't like try to sell it like you're going to change. Like they don't do any of that. They just let the full richness of that truth emerge from within you. And then, of course, when you experience it, you can't, yeah, it just changes everything. So,
Yeah.
yeah, suddenly I was able to just see so much how I kept myself in so much misalignment and how I created this hypervigilant, rigid lifestyle in service of keeping my MS at bay and how all that was false. That was
Right.
like so
Well, it
not true.
sounds like you were in survival mode for so long that survival mode became normal.
You're exactly right. I was completely unattached. Like I had no connection to the trauma and the survival, and not at all, none whatsoever.
Hmm.
Which is radical because I went to therapy and I practiced meditation and I did
You did all
yoga.
the things, you checked all the boxes.
And so I thought I was doing everything right, and but this different way of truly deeply healing that's permanent, right? It's like
Hmm.
I will never go back to what I was before. It's like a permanent part of who I am now. So it's pretty powerful.
So it sounds like you did work to release some of the trauma that was held in your body.
Yeah. I think that that's a really powerful thing too, because a lot of us don't actually recognize that through societal conditioning and familial conditioning and all kinds of things, that we don't recognize that there's so many different ways in which we don't allow that to happen. We don't allow ourselves to process traumas. We don't even recognize that they're there. And a lot of them are hidden from us,
Hmm.
which is why when we're disconnected from our body, that's in service of keeping us safe from those type of things. Um, and so, yeah, I think that's part of this container is that as you build emotional capacity and you greaten your emotional landscape and you're able to hold the emotions that arise within you without identifying with them, creating a story around them, creating a belief structure or an identity, then you have the capacity to allow these old emotions and these old traumas that you've never been able to have access to emerge from within you and feel them and then they release. And that's kind of the nervous system is like a wound up coil, right? And then the
So,
very second we start to unwind it, then just like a coil, it just starts to release everything.
so you're witnessing what your body is holding, and it seems like most importantly, without judgment.
100% without judgment.
Okay, so someone who's watching the show, um, if they were, by the way, I just want to mention your website. So it's christineruch.com, but I want to spell that. Christine, Christine, and Ruch is Ruch, .com. And so say that someone's been seeing you for a while now, and they're seeing you because they felt disconnected from their health and they want to reunite with that healing potential that they hold inside of them. What are some of the steps that you take people through?
Yeah, it's a very beautiful journey, and it is a journey because you're birthing yourself, your authentic self. And so, yeah, we start really slow. And I don't really dive into your stories or your health issues because that's not really necessary, you know? Your body knows what to do, your body knows how to heal and how to fix all those things. But I really start in this really gentle way of teaching you how to build emotional capacity to sit with the emotions as they arise. A lot of us are fearful of that state. We will bypass it, or we will judge it, or we will do anything we can to not sit in the state of uncomfortable emotions. And so, what teaching you first and foremost how to do that for yourself, I witness you, and then you begin to learn to witness yourself. And then fascinatingly, through that process, trust builds, resilience builds, your personal resilience. And as those things build, then your body will start to release more and more and more. And as your body releases, it shifts into better health and alignment automatically. So whether it's an old story or whether it's like your indigestion or your chronic sleepless nights, you know, a lot of those things start to shift automatically and naturally without us having to go in and like figure out what happened when you were in 10th grade or anything like that, because your nervous system doesn't hold those stories like a record of these, like, you
But
know,
isn't
these
it true
things
that
that happened.
yeah, and is it true? So let me just first of all kind of recap what you've said here. So self-trust, um,
Self-trust.
self-trust, resilience, um, being willing to sit with and visit the emotions, helps to shift the body into a place of they're building better emotional capacity and they're shifting the body into better alignment, which to me is very much mind-body connection, right? So they're connecting their mind and their body to allow for greater understanding, release, and for healing. Um, and I 100% agree that we get stuck in story. I'm curious if you agree that when we are stuck back in that old story and recalling it, that we are continuing to stimulate our nervous system in a way that's not helpful.
Yeah, because what you're talking about is like this idea of rumination versus reflection,
Hmm.
and rumination versus full allowance, or rumination versus full acceptance for all that is.
Hmm.
And so I think that those are various things. And one of the things that I like to do is suggest a mantra during this time, that as you're learning this and holding this emotional state and capacity and teaching yourself emotional resilience, is there's nothing to fix.
Hmm.
That's it. There's nothing to fix. Like, if we can say that to ourselves as we're experiencing all that is, that there's nothing to fix.
Well,
It is.
within the Louise Hay Heal Your Life work, we say, I am perfect, whole, and complete.
Yep, I am perfect, whole, and complete. And there's nothing to fix. And if we can believe that, and I think one of the things that's really beautiful in this process, other things start to happen and arise naturally. Not just like the capacity and those things that I already touched on, but actually you're learning to actually listen to your body.
Hmm.
A lot of us don't trust our body.
So true.
We feel like our body has failed us, and then we create this negative dialogue around how our body is like not serving us, and then that creates other stories that don't do us any service. But we're learning a new language, actually, when we start to frame all the things that are wrong with us as actually our body talking to us and that there's nothing wrong, that everything is actually right. It's just about learning a new language
Right.
and recognizing. And then what ends up happening as you build this resilience, then you become brave enough to start to take aligned action with what you think that your body is actually telling you. And then when you take the aligned action and your body responds positively, then it's almost like a positive feedback loop starts to develop. And then your body is like celebrating you, like finally she's listening. And then you start to really, just like learning any new language, then it really starts to take up on its own. And then you're completely guided by the wisdom of your body. And then it's a whole new course of action as it relates to changing your health because you're guided by what your body actually wants you to do and not like disempowered by doctors or all of these external ways of looking at your state of wellness, that
Oh.
we all are so accustomed to now. We don't actually recognize that it's not true and it doesn't serve us.
Do you believe there is a place for it, though, that the Western medical system and the mind-body movement go hand in hand?
I mean, yeah, I do, but I think it starts with you having a real connection with the fact that your body is telling you something and that you're listening to what it wants you to do.
Yes,
And then you
absolutely.
find the doctor or the healer that can actually solve the real problem.
Yes,
You know what I
advocating for
mean?
yourself rather than trusting blindly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So you talk about taking aligned action to change your health. What would be something that say we've got some viewers and listeners right now who feel like you felt back then. You've been running on survival mode for a very long time. What are some of the first things that people can do to start to regulate their nervous system?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to just sit with it, like very slow, very gently. Because this is a very slow, gentle process. Like a lot of the way we heal is very forced and very controlling and creates more stress for the system. And it's not necessary. Like the system actually wants to unfold like a flower. And so we just hold this very, very soft, gentle space of love and acceptance. Um, and then you can start to witness yourself in various circumstances and taking aligned action as it comes up. Like, and whatever that is very different for every person. But aligned action is something as simple as like, I need to work less hours. Like, actually, I feel like this every time I am overworked or whatever. You will start to have epiphanies and realizations as you learn to sit with these things and then to take aligned action and be like, you know what? I am going to figure out a way to work less hours because this is what my body is telling me. This is what my intuition is saying. And then you take that aligned action. It could be something that small, or like, actually, I need to eat before I have meetings. I
Yeah.
don't do good when I have an 8 a.m. meeting and I haven't had breakfast. Just like it could be something so small, but your like realization that I'm triggered at 8 o'clock every morning before my meeting. And then if you learn to sit with that trigger, you're like, actually, it's my body saying you need to eat,
Yeah.
So
Like,
it
how can I best
starts
support my
so small.
health?
Yes, it starts so small and so gentle, but actually, it's the beginning of a most powerful experience to reclaim your autonomy and your body's wisdom.
I really like that. Reclaim your body's wisdom because,
Mhm.
I mean, when you think about it, when we were young, we were very aware what was happening within our
Yeah,
bodies. And now we're just
absolutely.
like, I haven't got time for this. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
yeah.
currently, a great example is I've been at my desk like all of January. I've barely left my desk. And for those listening, we're on January 29th today. And I have like, this compression, within my ribs and it's uncomfortable and so on. But I don't say, hey, Victoria, get up and go for a walk. I say, you know what? Just a few more hours, right? Just like buckle down,
January is
get it
almost
done.
over.
So I really like what you said there about, reclaiming your body and reclaiming your best health. And when you're able to see the patterns and the realizations, to take the aligned action. I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, thank you. It really does. And what I think is so special about this conversation is it's so simple. And like being held by somebody who can see the simplicity and the beauty of it, because so much of the beauty of our existence is rests in simplicity. And we have, as a human race and in our medical care system or sick care system, we do make it more complicated than it needs to be. And so I feel like a lot of people don't believe that it can be that easy and that simple. Doesn't mean that it's not hard sometimes,
Yes.
right? Because the practice of sitting with an emotion is hard at first. It is uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And but all the same, the process is beautiful and simple, just as nature has designed us to be
Right.
just perfect in every way. And so it's like that's what I think is so amazing about this is getting people to understand that it doesn't have to be that hard and it can actually be an incredibly beautiful journey. And yeah, it's incredible.
Yes. I agree with you. I think that if someone was to make me summarize everything that I do within the Heal Your Life community into two words, I would say love yourself. And very easy concept, right? Love yourself. But then taking the time to take this very simple, easy concept and apply it to your life isn't always simple and isn't always easy because we, for some reason, as human beings, like to complicate things. And we think
Yeah.
we need the 26-step plan and, all of the things when really it just always comes back to self. And even in the midst of a diagnosis that is big and scary, like for example with your MS, to be able to say, I still have control of this, like in terms of I still get to choose how I manage this and how I react to this mentally with my thoughts, verbally with my words, and to know that you are um, the true creator of all things good in your life, and that you're able to help other people through your journey is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I love everything that you said. And one of the things that I think is so powerful is like this whole idea of self-love, right? And it's like we know, like let's say we know love as like a relationship, and it starts slow, right? You don't just meet a partner or a connection and you're like immediately in love. And the love, self-love is the same way. And that's why I feel like when you start to witness your body working in service of you, and you start to take these small steps of aligned action and your body responds positively, you end up building so much gratitude and awe at like what your body is capable and has done for you this your whole entire life. And these little tiny things build the self-love.
Yes.
Like it's impossible for you to not witness your own body working in service of you and not fall in love with the process and not fall in love with yourself. It's
Yeah.
not something where you can just work and say, like, just love yourself. Well, sometimes it's not that easy. You can't just like turn on a switch and start loving yourself. But when you start with these small, tiny little things,
Yes.
then the love unfolds just like it does in any relationship. And you're creating a relationship with yourself with these small ways of learning to trust yourself. And just like you're trusting a partner, when that trust builds, then the love unfolds on its
Absolutely.
own.
And it does go back to what you were saying earlier in the podcast about developing that self-trust through these small accomplishments. And when
Mm-hmm.
we are able to, what I'm really hearing you say is when we're able to see our body as our friend and not our foe, when it's
Mm-hmm.
something that we can count on, and rather as someone who something that we are quite often criticizing and judging. When it
Mm-hmm.
becomes part of the whole of who we are, that's where that real healing and transformation occurs.
Yeah, and I think it's so timely right now. I feel like so many people are sicker than ever and getting diagnosed with all sorts of random things and all sorts of I mean, it's just outrageous. And I just think it's like such a disservice to humanity that people aren't fully, as a consequence of the healthcare system. are not in touch with the fact that we are born whole and divine, and we are born with all the source codes for healing. You can heal a cut or heal a cold, but what, you can't heal a deeper illness? That's not true. It's just like a
Mhm.
compounded version of you not listening to yourself over and over and over and being disconnected from your body and not knowing the language that your body's trying to speak to tell you what's wrong. And it's not, and there's no threshold at which, like, I mean, obviously there are confined cases, and I don't want to speak universally for every person, but by and large, I think that I'd love to redirect the conversation around inspiring people to believe that it's within them. Everything that you seek outside of you is already within you.
Yes, I believe that we do have the power to heal our lives as well, as
Mm-hmm.
what you believe. And I believe that um, whatever you want to call it, universal energy or God or creator, also provides people in our lives to help with that. And
Mm-hmm.
that we're not operating in a vacuum and doing it all ourselves, but we are part of this beautiful creative healing loving energy in the world. And I just love that you've empowered yourself and that you work to help empower other people. And I would encourage everyone who's watching and listening to absolutely advocate for your own health. Listen closely to these words, not for your own sickness, right? Advocate for your own health, for your own wellness, and really putting your focus on the solution-based treatments, whether that treatment be self-love or affirmations or getting out into nature or working with a doctor, whatever that means to you, but creating this space where you can trust your body and thrive. Yes. All right. Well,
Yeah.
any last words, Christine?
I just would love to just inspire people if they're confronting anything resonates in our conversation to like look at like where they want to be living their best life and that they're not, that they forgot. They forgot, like, I used to want to do that. I used to think I was capable of that. I used to think that this would be my life. Like, go back to those dreams about you that you had for your life. And like, those are all still available to you.
Yes. Oh, I love that because so often, like you said, we have forgotten, we've pushed them aside, we've got caught
Mm-hmm.
in survival mode. Thank you for those
Yeah.
beautiful words. Again, it's Christine Ruch, ruch.com. Go ahead and check it out. And thank you for being on the show, Christine.
Thanks for the opportunity.
It's my pleasure.